It stuns me, it really does, that about a quarter of a century after mankind first walked on the surface of the moon, an organization was formed to look for answers in Genesis. The first book of the Bible, that sort of Bronze Age text in which the God who supposedly created the universe turns up and tells people to kill witches. And that same organization is now pulling in about $40 million per year. But there's a fair share of crazy to go around here. And it's amazing how minds can change over just a period of a couple of years. I mean, who here would believe me if I now said that Full Mcintosh was actually a pretty successful YouTube channel? I mean, it's not a few years since Full Mcintosh was almost a universal put-down, an exemplar of saying the most crazy stuff with a straight face, to the point where it became a meme. For example, this is Jonathan Mcintosh, weeping tears for the Pokemon who fight in a computer game. And he says, "I've spent the past 2 days collecting and evolving cute creatures in Pokemon Go, but the goal is to fight with them. That's disturbing. Wondering why I haven't heard more critiques of Pokemon that mention its similarities to the blood sport of dogfighting. Too many similarities with dogfighting." Yes, he's comparing Pokemon to dogfighting. That is, he is comparing non-existent, fictional creatures designed to sell toys to little kids.
You love Chimpokemon?
Yes.
Well, now you can buy your very own. I've got to buy Chimpokemon. I've got to buy it. I've got to buy it.
And he's comparing that to actual dogfighting in reality. Yeah, this is so stupid you can't even parody it, because it's exactly the dumbass argument that you would use to parody how stupid this argument is. Well, it's amazing how things can change over the period of just a few years. He now, with his lispy, slightly effeminate,
Welcome to the Pop Culture Detective Agents, a brand new web series that looks at media through a critical lens with a special emphasis on the depictions of men and masculinity in popular culture.
Sorry, anti-toxic masculinity voice now does vapid, confirmational bias-laced analyses of movies and the such like. For instance, a very brief example.
Profoundly naive. Unimaginably wise.
If that sounds vaguely like something someone might say about a child, it's no accident.
No, that sounds like pretentious, quasi-philosophical script writing. You know, the thesaurus diatribes that completely took the wind out of the sails of the Matrix sequels.
Some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concurrently, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Yet, if you listen to Mcintosh's video, apparently it's all about insecure men.
The subtext of the trope is rooted in a deep-seated male insecurity around sex and sexuality. The crux of the trope is a fixation on male superiority, a fixation with holding power over an innocent girl. A fixation with holding power over an innocent girl.
The film Tron Legacy is actually a deeply disturbing example of a meme. The meme that it's okay for women to kill men. And the deep-seated need for feminists to affirm and normalize this meme. The whole film builds purposely and climactically making the men evil, such that when the heroine takes control of the jet at the end of the movie, it's completely morally justified for her to take a machine gun and shoot a man in the back of the head. Even to the point where the male lead character, who is now being relegated to just being merely allowed to sit next to the female protagonist, cheers as she shoots a man in the back of the head. Yeah, all that stuff about getting sucked into a computer, that was just a smokescreen for this little plot device, which apparently makes men feel less insecure.
Unimaginably wise.
If that sounds vaguely like something someone might say about a child, it's no accident.
Look, no one would describe their child as unimaginably wise. This is something you would more say about Gandalf. No one would say, hey, you know what? You want wisdom? Talk to my child. He's unimaginably wise. Well, no one except maybe...
Oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I think we've gone full Mcintosh. Oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I think we've gone full Mcintosh.
In fact, here's a challenge for anyone who thinks that Johnny Boy here might have a point. After all, his video has some 5 million hits and a 90-something% approval rating. In fact, let's make this the full Mcintosh challenge. To actually incorporate his criticisms into the script for the movies that he's criticizing and see if it actually would make it a better or worse movie. So, for instance, The Fifth Element is a heteronormatively beautiful, heterosexual superwoman. Nope, all tropes. How about this? Let's make her something different. Oh, I don't know. How about a fat and ugly and unnecessarily stupid woman as a heroine? That would certainly not fall into any of these patriarchal tropes. Oh, and whoa, what's that, a heterosexual love interest? Sorry, that's just a power fantasy for men. That's got to go too. So now the movie goes something along these lines, that magical technology somehow revives the Fifth Element, who then destroys planet evil with something, oh, I don't know, monstrously bad breath or something. Something tells me, Johnny Boy, that ain't gonna be a cult classic. That's not gonna make it a better movie. In fact, that's basically what you would be doing here. You would be taking awesome movies and finding ways to make them worse. But hey, I might be wrong. You can prove me wrong easily. All you've got to do is take all of your criticisms and incorporate them into the script. And then we'll see if that makes the movie better or worse. Now, Johnny here first started making these types of videos about the same time that doing this massive overanalysis of any movie where the fandom started. You know, Aliens or Star Wars or anything like this became popular. And by overanalysis, I mean...
Mace Windu's purple lightsaber is extremely unique. In fact, in canon, it is the only lightsaber unique to that color. Currently in canon, its origin is unknown, but in Legends, we did receive an answer to how Windu was able to come into possession of a purple crystal, and how he made his blade.
Lightsabers are green or lightsabers are red. I'm like, yeah, but I want a purple one. You know? I'm like the second baddest Jedi in the universe next to Yoda. Let me think about it.
Originally, Windu had a blue lightsaber, but began receiving visions of the future that depicted him in great battles wielding a purple blade.
And he had the purple lightsaber, and I was like, yeah! Oh, yeah. So I could find myself in that big fight scene in the middle of that, you know. There's like 300 lightsabers in there. There I am right there.
Yeah, I know it's a fandom. So anyway, after a few breakout videos in this sort of genre, he now actually has many more subscribers than the entire of Feminist Frequency. Further, he's not put out a video for a couple of months and is still pulling in about 30,000 hits per day, which on the grand scheme of things is actually fairly impressive for metrics. I mean, compare that to Feminist Frequency, who's been losing subscribers almost continuously for a year. And on average, pulls in 1/10 of the traffic that Mcintosh does, and they put out about 2 videos a week. Which brings us on to why I'm making this video in the first place. You see, YouTube clearly recently had a change in its algorithm and it started throwing up videos from years ago. So I actually watched one of my Why Do People Laugh at Creationist videos from 2008.
Put up or shut up. Come on. Show your 109,000 subscribers why you're correct and I'm incorrect.
109,000 subscribers. Oh boy, I've been doing this for a while now.
Because of the extreme pressure of the crust of the earth bearing down upon this water, when the earth split open, the water ejected at supersonic velocity, enough velocity that it would escape the earth, as a matter of fact, and now that's why we have comets, and that's why there is ice meteors that have pelted the moon.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just some crazy loser. But no, he's essentially parroting a big creationist's ideas, which, at least in his mind, he thinks that real scientists have been struggling to debunk.
The atheist camp is desperately trying to refute this. This is a part of Walt Brown's hydroplate theory.
So is this just some lone crazy guy? Far from it. These ideas find themselves on places like Answers in Genesis that has a budget of some $14 million per year. Indeed, this is their animation of the flood, and it plays in their creation museum, and it wonderfully shows how the flood kills all those sinful children playing board games and all those sinful people in some arable market. You see, the only difference is that this guy is crazy enough to try and defend such jaw-droppingly stupid ideas in public. Answers in Genesis is just not that stupid. They keep away from the public forum, and they seem to be more in the game of selling magic beans to the believers. How could I possibly say such slanderous things? Well, my suspicions were first aroused when I clicked on support on their website. You find that giving them money is clearly more important to them than petitioning their all-powerful, ultra-uber magic sky daddy who can do absolutely anything on their behalf. And I'll be honest, from my chair that kinda looks like Answers in Genesis cares more about finances than faith. So I thought, hey, cool, let's see how much they're pulling in now. Just as a sort of barometer here. And they're now pulling in almost $40 million per year. Which again got me thinking, which is actually the bigger issue here? I mean, religion certainly has the bigger financial stick, and it's pretty socially acceptable as part of their religion to undermine science education. But honestly, I don't see much of that in the university-level circles that I tend to move in. The politically correct stuff, however, is all over the place at universities. I mean, sure, it's rarely in the form of the raving social justice warrior type stuff, but it's more of an atmosphere. Something that is generally tolerated for the simple reason that arguing against it makes you look like the bad man and carry real consequences. I mean, remember, Nobel Prize winners have lost their job over social justice warriors having a hissy fit. But typically, it's mostly a background ambience, a wallpaper if you like. But God, is it obnoxiously annoying. So sure, feminist frequency has more or less faded into obscurity. But Full Mcintosh is now getting about $5,000 per video on Patreon.
Creating these videos really is a full-time job. They take a tremendous amount of time to research, write, and produce. Yeah, I just promised to watch both the Star Wars prequels and The Big Bang Theory. That's gotta be worth some support right there.
Holy flying bananas, Batman. That's almost twice what I get. And to think that I actually mocked the man once for only getting $160 per video. The woman is currently getting about $40,000 per video. And what's Full Mcintosh getting? Oh, that's a shame. You mean a man is getting paid less than a cent on the dollar for what a woman doing exactly the same work is getting? Not that I've really got any grounds for complaint. I do very well out of YouTube. And it gives me an absolute massive liberty to spend money on videos that I think are going to be interesting. And even at that, I don't have to get grabby over this. I don't put videos that are essentially easy to make opinion pieces like this into the Patreon supported feed. But all the same, I periodically have to vent over this stuff, because this ain't taking us forwards and someone's got to debunk it, or just laugh at it. But honestly, I'm so lucky to be able to fund real science projects due to your support. And I love doing that too. So for those of you who are interested, what's the next real science project? Well, it's one that I've had for a time now. If I eat a chocolate bar, how long is it before the sugar that I've just eaten comes out of my mouth as carbon dioxide? Is it seconds, minutes, hours, days? Well, firstly, how would you even conduct such an experiment? How would you know that the carbon dioxide coming out of your mouth specifically came from the sugar that you ate? And how would this change if, say for instance, I did exercise or not? Or just sat around and did nothing? Which is one of the reasons why I really want to do this, because it would be a great way of demonstrating the actual chemical energy flow of the body in real time. Well, turns out there is a simplish but rather expensive way of doing this experiment. First of all, you need a mass spectrometer, because you need to be able to tell the difference between carbon-12 dioxide and carbon-13 dioxide. And that's basically what a mass spectrometer does. It weighs molecules and tells you how much of them there are. You see, of the carbon dioxide in your body, almost all of it is carbon-12. So if I were to say, for instance, eat some carbon-13 sugar, that means all of the carbon-13 dioxide that I breathe out came from the sugar that I just ate. Now this is all stable isotope stuff, there's no radioactivity here. And it's a really cool experiment. But what's the price ticket for this? Well, mass spectrometers aren't cheap, and the one that I'm looking at buying with suitable accuracy for this experiment is going to cost the best part of $30,000. But that's just the starting point. You see, isotopically enriched carbon ain't cheap either. And the carbon-13 sugar is going to be somewhere between $1,000 and $5,000 per shot, you know, based on some back-of-the-envelope calculations that I've done. Which makes this an especially harsh experiment. Because remember what I was saying, what your body is going to do is it's literally going to burn this sugar and then you're going to breathe it out as carbon dioxide and water. You're literally burning that money in your body. So why is this cool? Well, you would know the exact origins of the carbon-13 that you're breathing out. You know where and when it went into your body. And it gives you this direct visualization of how your body is working. And then, because you can do it, I want to do this with alcohol as well. Which would be even more fun because this means these are going to be some of the most expensive drinks in history. You know, $1,000 per cocktail, that sort of thing. Now, honestly, with the support that I get through Patreon, I reckon I can probably do this myself. And, you know, I've been working on this on and off for some time now, just working out the sort of machine that you would need and the accuracy it needs and that sort of thing. However, there's part of me that thinks that I should do a Kickstarter for this, you know, as a homage to all of those great projects that have gone before me. Now, the metric in which I measure the gratuitous waste of money is solid gold hammers, which are about $40,000 a piece. So this entire project would be the equal of merely one solid gold hammer, which is completely amateur night when you compare what people have actually thrown money at. For instance, Solar Roadways, which cost about 50 solid gold hammers, or Triton, which was another 50 solid gold hammers, or Scio, which was about 75 solid gold hammers. Hell, Answers in Genesis get about 1,000 solid gold hammers per year, and so on. So there's part of me that just wants to deviously do this Kickstarter. How about this? Scramloop. It's kind of like the Hyperloop, but 10 times faster. Because you're not just going to run electromagnetic trains in your low-pressure tube, you're going to run scramjets in your Hyperloop, which means you can get up to about 6,288 miles per hour. That means you could travel from any point on Earth to any other faster than Elon Musk's rocket project. It'll be about 100 times cheaper to build than the Hyperloop and up to 23 times safer. It'll be completely self-fueling by solar panels and thorium-powered genetically engineered conical trees, which means that a ticket from LA to New York will cost about $16.43, with a journey time of less than 20 minutes. I mean, you can trust me. Look, I've got some computer-generated pictures of what it's going to look like. And if you like that idea, let me know in the comments below.